Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of F122 Driver Career Mode here on the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. We have some upgrades on the way over the next few episodes that's supposed to bring us a little bit closer to the top 3 teams that I'm excited for. But we are coming off of a pretty solid result in Imola with a 7th place result there. Ricciardo, however, got the best of us with P5. Verstappen is on a 3-peat with 3 Grand Prix wins in a row and a nice margin over his teammate Perez as we are landing here in the Miami area in Florida. As you can see, the beautiful sights of the city in the background there. Just outside of that city view, you have this beautiful circuit here in Miami as we were ready to get racing. Someone mentioned they wanted to see some press conferences, so let's go to it.
It's been an up and down season for you so far, Gary. How would you rank yourself so far after the first few races?
I'd give myself like a 6 out of 10. I think we've had some good pace, and if we can stay away from a Red Bull car, it seems like we're pretty okay. So hopefully we can, do that here in Miami this week. You see or heard myself there in the press conference being asked about my season so far, and look at this, we got a modded helmet. Can you believe it? It's finally here. Link is down in the description with all the car liveries as well that we use for mods now as we are underway in free practice 1. Very curious to see what we can do this weekend, because right out of the gate here in practice we had found a lot of speed, not only in my McLaren, but Daniel Ricciardo, my teammate, his car as well was showcasing a lot of speed. Hands down in practice, this is the most speed both of our cars have had all season long. So the confidence was being boosted quite quickly. Look at this, P3 and P5 in free practice 1 for myself and Danny Rick. So things are already looking pretty good as we were headed into qualifying. A bit of a different weather variable here in qualifying, overcast skies compared to what we saw on Friday free practice 1. It was a nice sunny day, but nonetheless we are ready to get underway here in Q1. And I was confident that we were going to cruise into Q3 for the first time. We've had our ups and downs, and Imola, was a disaster in the last episode. We qualified at the back of the grid, struggling in those wet weather conditions. Completely different story here in Miami now as we come through into Q1, and it took me 1 attempt late in the session to be able to advance. It was not a contest at all. Look at this, we actually go P3, P4 for McLaren, so backing practice up. Now we would drop to P7, P9, but still looking pretty good and only a few tenths of a second off as the top 3 teams are really close, but we as McLaren, even though we're 4th in the R&D, we're not far off at all. Here we are in Q2, same situation as Q1, making a lap late in the session. I was still confident that it would be just fine, and I was right. We would come through to cross the line, and it wasn't as good as Q1. It was only P9, but we would fortunately stay P9. Ricciardo P3, Zhou Guanyu, Schumacher, Albon, Norris, and Ocon all miss out, and we jump straight into Q3. No surprise exit so far in qualifying, but this is my first lap here in Q3, which was a bit of a sloppy one. You could see through the chicanes, so I would finish off this lap, but it wasn't very impressive. We crossed the line and still beat a few drivers like Magnussen and Alonso, but we start the final lap here in P8, right behind Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, and Ferrari's had a lot of speed this weekend as well. We've seen some struggles out of them. I mean, Red Bull's run every Grand Prix so far, so it's nice to see a bit of a difference here with Sainz looking pretty quick, but you can see myself gaining time in the top right, 0.3 of a second now. Now it goes back down a little bit into the 2.5 range, but we would find a little bit more time over the second sector here, and look how much we close in on the back of the Spaniard of Sainz, and now we have closed in so much that it doesn't affect us thankfully too much in the corner, but now we have a nice slipstream. So we gained about half a second, 0.6 of a second near the end of the final turn. I actually give up a bit of time, slowing down a bit early, trying to make it back up on the exit, but I couldn't quite. So we gave up a good 10 to 10.5 right there in the final turn, which will play a role. We crossed the line. It's only P6. I was hoping for a bit better, but at the same time, not too disappointed with that. Carlos Sainz would hold on for pole. Verstappen all the way down in 5th place, Russell, Hamilton there, Magnussen and Alonso rounding out the top 10, but our teammate Daniel Ricciardo up there in 3rd place. Things are looking good for McLaren, and I think our race pace is pretty promising, but let's find out right now. Let's head to the grid.
Welcome to the Magic City. We're here at the Miami International Autodrome, the home of the Hard Rock Stadium, a multi-purpose sports and entertainment hub which has hosted Super Bowls, Baseball World Series, numerous rock concerts, and now, for the first time, Formula One, with great opportunities for wheel-to-wheel battles featuring 19 corners, 3.36 miles long and expected average speeds of 138 miles an hour, the Miami International Autodrome will be sure to create lots of chances to overtake. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Golden Boy, Russell, Hamilton, Magnussen and Fernando Alonso, Joe, Mick Schumacher, Alex Albon and Norris, Ocon, Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda and Robert Schwartzman, Stroll and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for today's race. Let's have a chat about Williams. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Alright, then we are ready to go racing. Not really many concerns here. Now it's going to be mediums to hards. So yeah, let's get the formation lap underway.
Here we go then. The formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right for today's race? Well, we'll soon find out. So as all the cars reform the grids, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring the planned strategies are all in place.
Alright team, hopefully we can back up what we did in Imola. We've had like a bad race and a good race and it keeps going back and forth, so let's have a good race today. You hear myself there to the team on the radio. If you look at our performances each race, it goes good race in Bahrain, then it goes bad, then it goes good, bad, good. It keeps going back and forth. So hopefully we go back to back good, because Imola ended on a pretty high note here as the final cars pull up to the grid. That's Nicholas Latifi and the Williams Porsche coming to his grid slot now. As Williams Porsche, we've talked about it every episode, they've had a rough start to their collaboration project here in Season 2. It's 5. Red lights, Carlos Sainz leads the way, lights out and underway down towards turn 1, and he covers off Perez well already. We're 3 wide already down into turn 1. I'm going to send one up the inside of Verstappen and even get alongside my teammate Daniel Ricciardo. Nearly some contact. I sent it in there so hard. And now Verstappen and Perez, they actually both started on the hard compound tires, so they're going to be off the pace right off the bat here in this Grand Prix. Perez holds on to second, but you can already see the effect of the hard compound tires kicking in compared to everybody else that's on mediums. There is a car too throughout the grid on the softs. I can't remember exactly who it is. I'm sure we'll see it at some point here now. But Perez and Verstappen, they're going to be slow on this opening run, but they are going to be fast on that last run compared to everybody else. So it's going to be all about how much can they hold on here in these opening moments of this first run of the Grand Prix. And you can see Perez still in front of Charles Leclerc. Sainz is going to try and run away in the background. Hamilton alongside the Haas right there as they are side by side. Now we're going to have like 3 rows of 2x2 through the sweeping right-hander. That is an awesome sight right there, but everyone gets it sorted out, of course, as they head down into the chicane. As you can see, Zhou Guanyu having a bit of a moment there in the Alfa Romeo now, and there you already see at the end of the lap Leclerc battling alongside Perez on those hard tires, and these mediums obviously going to prevail down into turn 1. Ricciardo's right there, and okay, they decide to sort that out by ghosting inside of each other. Very cool. I don't know if that's the ghost setting I need to change or not, but as you see Ricciardo there having a bit of a slip up, but it wouldn't be long until Ricciardo was going to, of course, have an opportunity to put the attack. These mediums are going to certainly outpace those hards for probably a good 5-6 laps at the bare minimum. In the background, Verstappen was actually missing the final turn under attack from Russell, and then it would actually go a little bit further here into the next turn. Hamilton right behind this battle, and Verstappen goes wide, and Hamilton has contact with Verstappen and damages his wing. His rough season start continues. He would have to come into the pit lane to put on another set of mediums, and most importantly, change that front wing now as we come through to the end of lap 3. Perez is battling with Ricciardo here. Those Red Bulls have been all over the place so far to kick off the season, but at the end of the day, they've won the most races. They've won every race, just like last season. They won the first 5 Grand Prix of the season, and then they lost at Monaco, and everything kind of started to unravel as we're starting to pass Perez. Could Red Bull do the same thing here this season? They've won the first 4. They're trying to win today. Right now, things are not looking favorable for them as their best running car is Perez, and I am now passing Perez as we head down into the left-hander. He's going to continue side by side, but those hards haven't kicked in compared to the mediums yet, but it's not going to be long until we hit that transition period where those hards start to outpace the mediums. Really good pace all around. I've been preaching it all weekend. In practice, it looked good for McLaren, and now here we are, 3rd and 4th, Ricciardo and myself, and now we were getting closer and closer to Danny Ric, but you can see the gap would actually get a little bit further apart, but then we would close it back in as we were looking to be able to make the pass, and we have the all clear to fight as teammates so far early on in this season, so we have nothing to worry about in terms of can I fight Danny Ric. Mark's fine with it, and everybody, Zach Brown's okay with it. So here I was getting ready now because I would close up quite a bit on him here in this 3rd and final sector. And now DRS in my advantage. We're going to pull to the right-hand side and try to complete this pass down towards the final turn, side by side into the corner with the Australian teammate, but we should prevail. But hold on, Ricciardo's not going to make it quite easy, but we do get clear for the time being as we now move up into a podium position. We have yet to finish on the podium this season. We've had a lot of bad luck on our side. That is certainly no secret, as we would actually struggle to pull away from Ricciardo. So as we come through into the long straightaway, he has the DRS this time, so now he's going to do what he did to me. He's going to easily pass me down towards the corner now. So we drop back into 4th as Ricciardo moves back into the podium position as he locks up, and we pass him back, and now he's going to fall out of DRS range because of that and fall into the hands of Sergio Perez, who would, well, get to work on Ricciardo pretty quickly here now as they were going to get tussling in the background. You can see it happening. So now Carlos Sainz pits from the lead, so that's a bit of an odd strategy. It looks like he's on a 2-stop strategy because he goes in for another set of mediums. A weird strategy that could really hurt him in this Grand Prix. Perez would move up into 3rd place past Ricciardo, but Sainz, who had run away, decides that the 2-stop strategy is the way to go, and I don't think it is. Leclerc pits on lap 13, but him and I are on a 1-stop strategy. I don't think Sainz can make up the time, but Sainz was coming to pass as he did have a very large lead, but still, I don't think a 2-stop strategy, medium, hard is what I'm guessing he's going to do. Maybe a soft to run to the end of this race, I'm not quite sure. But it's a very baffling strategy from Carlos Sainz, who was looking in control of this Grand Prix. Lap 15, our teammate Ricciardo, Russell, them coming in. We pass them all. Yellow flags in the background is Yuki Tsunoda, actually, who's pulling off of the circuit. He is going to be out of the Grand Prix. Yellow flags, but no safety cars. So we would settle in here to P5. Both the Red Bulls still on track on the hards, but lap 16 coming to 17, Max Verstappen pits for a set of mediums. So now we're going to see what happens with those Red Bulls and how quick they are. So Verstappen is going to exit behind Russell. A huge moment for myself right there. A gargantuan save. We continue on, but the damage is done. Here goes Ricciardo cruising by on my left side. And I was just struggling to get these hard compound tires kind of kicked in and going here, but still we would stick with Ricciardo, and I look behind me and there's Russell 1.2 seconds back, so I wanted to try and pass Danny Ric. He's had more pace than me all weekend in practice and qualifying, but we found something here in the Grand Prix, and now we are side by side again down towards the 90-degree left-hander, and you can see this time Ricciardo's not going to make it as easy on me like he did the first time around. He's going to continue side by side. He is going to be right on my wheels right there, dead even, as we head down the front straightaway, and as we head down towards turn 1, he had the DRS to stay ahead of me. Perez is exiting the pits now, and he's on the fresh mediums, and he's ahead of us both, so that's worst case scenario right there. We're going to have nothing for Perez unless we can pass him right here while his tires warm up, but that would not be the case now. And Russell actually had gotten into my DRS 7/10 of a second back, and then Verstappen was close as well. We're 7/10 behind Ricciardo, but it would get a bit more sketchy right here as we're heading down towards the long straightaway. Another moment of oversteer right there, just losing grip, struggling again to get these hard compound tires kicked in and going, and now that brings Ricciardo and Verstappen, who, well, let's not forget, completely cleaned us out for a win in China, all over the rear diffusers of myself and Ricciardo of Russell, who's going to clear me down into the corner like Ricciardo passed me earlier, and just like Ricciardo earlier, Russell locks up after overtaking me into the same corner. So we move back up into P5, Verstappen just behind.
Okay, some information on Ricciardo. They've got some kind of mechanical problem.
Well, there you hear it there. Ricciardo with a mechanical problem, and he would lose pace immediately, and you can see it right here as lap 20 down the long straightaway. Not even going to be a contest. We're going to go to the left side and open that rear wing, use overtake to make the pass easy, and we will pass Danny Rick. I was trying to keep him in my DRS, you know, to keep him ahead of Verstappen, but he would actually have quite a bit of pace still in that McLaren when he had the DRS open, because he would close up on me quite a bit, nearly running into me. The proximity radar went red there down into the final turn, but Verstappen gets clear of Ricciardo, who's still trying to put some pressure on Verstappen as we head down into turn 1. We've been completely cleaned out, and it's from Max Verstappen again, who's out of the Grand Prix. Verstappen's out. He locked up into turn 1 and cleaned me out for the second time in the last 3 Grand Prix. On board with Ricciardo, you see it right there. Are you kidding me right now, Max Verstappen? I mean, there's a TV look from it. I mean, what can I do in that situation? That's the second time he's taken me out now in 3 Grand Prix, but this time he took himself out of the race completely. You're kidding. There is no way, dude.
I don't know what to even say at this point, mate.
We have major damage to the rear wing, which in F122, that's basically a death sentence, unfortunately. So the odds are we're going to have to retire from the Grand Prix, but I at least wanted to make an attempt to restart the race to see what would happen. So Carlos Sainz pitted from the lead under the safety car for a set of hard tires. Perez is all over the back of Leclerc for this restart on a fresh set of mediums, while Leclerc's on the hards. So now it's basically a given that Perez is going to win this Grand Prix due to the safety car. Myself, you know, we're in the top 10. Schumacher actually got a 5-second penalty because he didn't let me pass under the safety car, which is weird because I was clearly behind him and crashed. As you can see, I'm already struggling on grip right here. I was very concerned, but like I said, I at least wanted to attempt to do the restart and see if I could hang on to the car. And you can see I'm struggling hard, but I said if I can keep it going in a straight line, I'm going to keep on chugging along. If I crash this car, then I'm going to box and retire the car. But you can see up ahead some battles happening. That's Ricciardo with Magnussen. I think Ricciardo's still having issues potentially mechanically now, but Perez would put the attack pretty quickly to Charles Leclerc by the end of the lap. Here it goes around the outside. It's not going to even be a contest, I reckon, now, as Leclerc stays left on the hards, Perez on the right side, and you can see the difference there. And Perez is on track to make it a 5 consecutive race win for Red Bull, just like they did last season before we saw things unravel in Monaco with Lewis Hamilton kind of unsettling them with the Grand Prix win here. Now, as you can see myself settling in here, P9, and there it is. We're going to go around there, the rear wing damage. Sure enough, too much on us, and Mark is going to come over the radio and tell us the bad news.
Bring it to us. We need to save the car.
I just want to say thanks, Max Verstappen. 2 times in 3 Grand Prix. Now, this one was a little bit less malicious. He locked up and had nowhere to go, and I was just in the wrong place, wrong time. Heading into the pit lane, not even full throttle, I even spun it again. And that's how bad this car was with the rear wing damage. So, the only option is to retire from the Grand Prix. We bring it in, and, I mean, it is what it is, of course, now. So we pull in. It's raced over. Sergio Perez, sure enough, would hang on to the victory of the Grand Prix, as it was going to be Ferrari. Actually, Leclerc dropped down to 3rd, so Sainz got him. So 2nd place for Carlos Sainz, although it should have been a win for Carlos. He was in control of this race right up until they made that weird 2-stop strategy decision. And, well, that's a very typical Ferrari decision, of course, to throw away a win because of strategy. But, you know, so disappointing for things to happen the way they have. And I can tell you the next episode, I don't think Zach Brown's going to be very thrilled with what's happening, and I'm pretty sure we'll have something to look at kicking off the next episode there. But you see, Ricciardo actually ended up in 4th place, so good result for him. 18th for us with the DNF, 19th for Verstappen, and 20th for Yuki Tsunoda. And unfortunately now we're going to fall behind our teammate of Ricciardo in the standings going into Monaco, and you can see right there he's up to 8th. I'm down to 11th. We've had some terrible luck this season. 3 accidents. One of them may be our own fault with Schumacher and Jetta, but the other 2 certainly none of our fault at all. 6 in the constructors. That's going to wrap it up. I'll see you guys in Monaco. We're going to take off from Miami, and have yourselves a great day.